This week on Ignition, we discover the new, more efficient side of BMW. Welcome to the BMW 528i. This is the newest large luxury sedan from the automaker, and it represents their latest push for fuel efficiency. Where there once was a naturally aspirated straight 6, now there's a turbocharged 2-liter inline 4. It's connected to an automatic 8-speed transmission. The power steering is now electric instead of hydraulic, so it doesn't get the same parasitic losses. There's a setting called Eco Pro, which dulls throttle response and limits the intervention of climate controls. It also gives you a display on the dash to help you drive in a more efficient manner. When I come to a stop, the engine will actually turn off to save fuel. That's all well and good, but this newfound focus on fuel economy has me wondering, has BMW lost it? Nope. The M5, in many ways, is twice the car the 528 is. It has twice the number of cylinders. It has twice the number of turbochargers. It displaces twice as much. It also costs nearly twice as much, nearly $100,000 for this car. And what do you get for that? Well, if you guess double the power, you're right. This thing makes 560 horsepower and 500 pound-feet of torque. It also benefits from the latest Go Fast parts from BMW's Go Fast division, from 20-inch wheels with brake rotors, by the way, sized 15.7 inches front, 15.6 inches rear. Then you have suspension comprised primarily of forged aluminum. The rear suspension, by the way, bolted right to the unibody without bushings. This is the fastest and most technologically advanced BMW on the market right now. You also have to think about the miles and miles of wires underneath this car controlling all the systems. For example, I have 5 different buttons here. One for stability control, one for throttle map, one for the dampers, one for the steering, and one for the transmission. Now each of those has 3 different settings, so there's 125 different combinations in the ways you can drive this car. You gotta wonder, all the time programming that, how did they even have time to build the car? But on top of that, they also threw in a 7-speed dual clutch automatic, which means we also get launch control. Now here's how it works. Put it in manual mode, make sure it's on the harshest shift setting, turn off stability control, and here's where it gets tricky. You have to apply the brake with your left foot, hold the shifter forward, then apply the throttle. I cannot believe how quickly a rear-wheel drive car can get out of the hole. 0 to 60, 3.7 seconds. This is ridiculous. Now for our 60 to 0 braking test, there's actually quite a bit working against this car, and that quite a bit is the 4,300 pounds it's lugging around. But let's see how it does. Quite well, actually. Pedal feel is very good, and it comes to a stop in a best of 110 feet from 60 miles an hour. And now we begin our figure 8 test. This thing just pulls so hard out of corners. Enters nicely too. It'll push sometimes. If you enter it too hot, it'll oversteer. You can play with the throttle, you can play with the steering, and this thing does things a 4,300 pound sedan just shouldn't. Like that. Steering is firm and nice, controllable. It tells you what the front wheels are doing, and sometimes the rear wheels. You gotta be careful with the throttle though, or else the tail will just come right around. You gotta be on your game. This car's too much fun. So the M5 performs very well on the test track, but the most important part about the M5 is its duality. Can it perform as well on the street? You see, for as brightly as the M5 shines on the racetrack, it's equally impressive on the road. You can spend a day power sliding it, drag racing it, just generally abusing the rear tires, and then you put everything in comfort mode, and the M5 transforms into this luxury super sedan. Not only do I have dual zone climate control, I can adjust the level of its intensity. I have TV screens in the seat backs for when the kids get bored on the 8-hour road trip. I have night vision. I have lane departure warnings. I have active cruise control. This car, like the 528, also has stop start, which I'll add is fully defeatable. So with all that technology, I can't help but think about what the M5 used to be. It started as an exciting, thinly disguised race car, and while it changed as it aged, it always had a high-revving, naturally aspirated motor. Speaking of the engine, now we reach the big point of contention with the M5. See, this is the first M5 with turbochargers, and empirically it's hard to make an argument against this engine. In terms of fuel efficiency and power delivery, this engine does things that a naturally aspirated engine simply can't. But a naturally aspirated engine can rev and it can sing, and as good as this twin-turbo V8 is, I still long for the days of the high-revving, raspy race motors that used to be in these cars. Similarly, I have a tough time making a complaint against this engine. For one thing, it's really good. Secondly, it's just a product of an ever-changing landscape where we have to take environmental concerns into account. And thinking of that, it's almost a wonder that this car exists. I mean, think about it. A board of people had to sign off on a rear-wheel drive sedan that weighs 4,300 pounds, that makes 560 horsepower, and that has a twin-turbo V8. And then, after agreeing on it, they had to build the thing. And while building it, they put in all the luxury, fuel-saving, and performance technology they could throw at it. And on top of all that, the car works, and it works brilliantly. You know, this is a very different car than what the M5 used to be. It's excellent, but in a very different way. You see, when you buy an M5, you're actually getting two cars. One is a very comfortable, very luxurious 5 Series that happens to have a little bit worse fuel economy. And the other is this completely insane supercar that happens to have 4 doors and 5 seats. This is the kind of car you can take to the office and never feel the edge of its performance capabilities. But similarly, you can take it to a racetrack and there it'll do things that a car of its size and its weight shouldn't be able to do. And you can change in between these two characters at the push of a button. Now, has BMW lost it? Not at all. They found a way to integrate performance, fuel efficiency, and luxury in a way that makes cars like this still relevant in the future.